Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from two groups and today we will presentation about experimental research design. So, what is quantitative research? Quantitative research is a systematic process of gathering, analysis, and interpreting quantitative or numeric data for the purpose of obtaining answers to certain questions or phenomena. The types involves the process of testing a theory, recognizes the role of variables in a study, involves numbers, numeric data, and use statistical treatments for data measurement and analysis. Experimental research recognizes that the intervention of researcher is present. In experimental research, the researcher plays an active role throughout the conduct of the research process. The research decides what intervention given to the subjects. The research determines who will be receiving the treatment. Also, the research determines the extent of conduct of the research. Involves the researcher's manipulation of independent variables. Unlike non-experimental research, variables in experimental research are controlled by researchers. The researcher may opt to control certain variables and manipulate others for purpose of determining alternative results. The next is true experimental. Aims to determine causal relationship among variables, considered as the most accurate type of experimental. Involves a control group and a test group. May be conducted with or without a pretest, and involves random selection of participants. The types is post-test only control group, pretest, post-test control group, and Solomon for groups design. Question: what is the between control group and experimental test group? The answer is, in a true experimental research, the experimental or test group is made of subjects that receive the treatment or intervention given by the researcher. The control group is made of subjects that do not receive any treatment or intervention. Having a control group and an experimental group allows researchers to determine the effect of the treatment or intervention by making comparisons between the results from the experimental group and the control group after the duration of the study. So the next
material is post-only control group. The first subjects are randomly selected and assigned to groups, and second, treatment or intervention is given to the experimental group. Afterward, both groups are tested and conclusions are drawn from comparison of results. The integration of technology in concluding lessons has a positive effect on academic performance of students. And then, pretest, post-test control group. Subjects are randomly selected and assigned to groups. Both groups are tested prior to intervention or treatment. And the third, intervention or treatment is given to the experimental group. Both groups are tested after treatment to determine degree of change in each group. And then, Solomon for group design. The first considered as a combination of the first two through experimental designs. And the second, subjects are randomly selected and assigned to 4 groups. And the last, conducted to verify the effectiveness of a given treatment or intervention.
A Solomon fork group design is conducted for purpose of verifying the authenticity of the result of an intervention. Pretesting tends to have some form of influence on the result of the poster due to the subject exposure to say instrument because pretest and posters use the same instrument. Conducting a Solomon fork group design allows resources to center threat to internal validity when making the assessment. True experimental research is the type of experimental research design. It is recognized by having the following characteristic: used to test a hypothesis, random selection of participants, having a control group and test group, may or may not have pretest. Considered as the most accurate type of experimental research. True experimental research is divided into three types. Post-only control group involves testing the control and test group after intervention has been given. Pretest post-control group test the control group and test group before and after the intervention has been given. Solomon fork group design a combination of the first two design respondent or divided into four groups conducted to counter possible threat to internal validity and verify result of intervention given. Okay, thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.